Hello, I'm Phylum, and welcome to the show. I have watched a lot of Quake today. I've watched a lot of games. QuakeCon 2018 is underway, the 2v2 tournament has hit in full force. There was a massive 42-man bracket. There's like a 9-hour stream VOD that I've been thumbing my way through, cutting games out. It's been exhausting, okay? It's been a full-on day. I'm tired watching the commentators, right? The stream was wonderful. They had all these community figures. I got to see the Spud Hunter there commentating, which was great. The Spud Hunter, 40 Lions and Death was the all-star commentator desk. Those guys were hilarious. But enough about the extra stuff. Let's talk about the games. Alright, so I just have like a ridiculous stack of notes here that I've taken on the games. I think a good place to start would be to talk about who won today. Okay, so I'm going to go down the top 8 and give some predictions for tomorrow first, before I go in and talk about some of the things from today that I thought were highlights. So, the first game in the bracket tomorrow will have Team Liquid versus Play to Improve, that is, Rafa and Hang versus Liths and Bus Driver X. This is going to be fairly one-sided, I think. I can't see Liths and Bus Driver X making a dent in Team Liquid from how they played today. Team Liquid were phenomenal. They looked just so smooth, their mechanics seemed on. They seem in perfect Euro-killing form. Play to Improve did pretty well, but I don't know, they just didn't impress me that much. They made it through to the top 8, so they're obviously doing something right, but they just don't look quite as well refined as the really strong teams like Maestro EU and like Maestro UKSA and Maestro CIS. Next up in the bracket we have Maestro UKSA versus New Name, that is Garpy and Dewey versus Waz and Chain. This is a really big moment because only 2 American teams made it through to the top 8. Team Liquid, who are looking phenomenally good, and New Name, that is Waz and Chain. Waz, a very experienced Quake player, a very experienced QuakeCon player. He's competed in team events in a bunch of QuakeCons. He's not that much of a jeweler, so the change to 2v2 for Quake Champions in the first half of this year has really favoured him. I don't think he went to DreamHack Tour, but him and Chain have been doing really well online lately, and that's obviously carried over here. They've actually outperformed Quaker Orbs. And I think Quaker Orbs have been the more serious team, you know, they've been like hardcore practicing, they went to DreamHack, and then these kids come across, these kids with, you know, years of Quake experience come across and just make a team and make the top 8 over them. Playing UKSA, that is actually a mixed American and European team. I feel like Garpy is the stronger player of the team though, so like I identify UKSA as being more of a European than an American team. Anyway, Garpy and Dewey, I wasn't sure how they'd play together because they're from different continents, but as it turns out, they've been doing pretty well. And Dewey doesn't have the refinement and the experience that some of these other guys do. He doesn't have 15 years of competitive Quake history, you know? Sometimes he seems a little raw, sometimes he's a little impulsive, he's a little over-aggressive, he overextends himself, sometimes he just kind of gives some dumb stuff away. That's going to be a problem coming into the final maps here. It's not going to be a deal-breaker for them, and maybe they can work something out because both Dewey and Garpy have phenomenal execution. Coming up against a team like New Name, some of North America's finest, I think New Name have a lot to prove, right? If they just get knocked out straight away, then it's not European domination, rather. The North Americans get nowhere in the bracket. So a lot of pressure on New Name here to fly the North American flag. The next game in the bracket is Blind Trust versus Maestro EU. The frickin' Maestro teams, man, they're taking over Quake. Okay, if we're not careful, QuakeCon 2019 is just going to be Maestro teams. It's going to be fucking it. They're going to have all the good players. So Blind Trust is the all-star European team. We have Toxic and Claws. AIM geniuses. They're going to hit everything. I didn't actually catch the game today, and just assuming they're in amazing form, I guess you could say I have blind faith in them. But Maestro EU were looking really great. That is Team Sparty and Razy. Sparty's had some personal issues with how he's been playing in Quake Champions, but I know for a fact he's feeling really good after like a week of Maestro boot camping in America. They're looking solid, right? They're making solid decisions, they're making solid pushes. Something I've noticed about them is they're good at like pushing items. So, you know, like a move on Awoken I've seen them do, they let Mega go away, and then they do a freaking pincer move in from each side and just demolish whoever got it, right? They obliterate the Mega from the map and they get a kill. And they're just, like, things like that, right? They pick really good moments to attack, and I'll get into some of the games I saw of theirs today in a bit. The last game we're going to see in this bracket, it's Maestro CIS versus Big. And Big, for a team, the players in this, by the way, Maestro CIS, Huron, and Silencep, and Big is Avek and Kilson. And Big, so if you don't know the story, Avek was teamed with Cypher, Cypher's visa got denied, and so he ended up teaming with Kilson. Kilson was training for Duel and didn't have a 2v2 partner, and then there was no real Duel. So, yeah, weird pair up, but they've made the top 8, right? And it's no surprise. Avec and Kilson both have, like, they probably have, I don't know, they have over 20 years of shared top-level Quake experience between them at least. Maybe a bit more even. Yeah, just great players. Not so experienced in team modes compared to one-on-one, but this Quake Champions 2v2 I think is very similar to how traditional one-on-one played. So they have a groundwork coming into it. They've been looking good on maps like Blood Run, where again they're both just very, very experienced being one-on-one players in Quake, Quake 4, Quake Live. Maestro CIS are on paper a ridiculously good team with Huron and Silencep. Phenomenal aimers. Again, like, I'm excited to watch these guys play because they're just going to be hitting such nutty shots the entire game. There isn't a single bad aimer in these top 8 teams, by the way, right? Just in mechanical execution, just with my mechanical execution hat on, these games are going to be nutty. But yeah, if Big can go on to get to like the semi-final or even the grand final, that would just be madness, right? Given that they're a kind of scrappy team who just got together for the sake of it. They're obviously taking it very seriously, and I'd love to see them go a lot further. Man, and where do I even begin on the teams that didn't make the top 8? I mean, unfortunately, Cooler didn't make it through. His partner also had visa issues, so he had to team up with CZN at the last minute. CNZ, sorry, at the last minute. Mix that one up. So he got knocked out. Cooler was looking to be in phenomenal form. Apparently, he's a bit unhappy. The Australian team, Corvidae, got knocked out by Ascent, a North American team who everyone expected they would just smash. They also lost to Maestro EU on stream, and again, like, they just looked outclassed by Maestro EU because of a clutch pick by Razy, which I don't think they expected at all. Not for Razy to pick clutch. Razy picks clutch all the time. He's very good at clutch. Just like how powerful the clutch would be, and the fact that they didn't ban it, maybe, a little bit arrogant or something. We had 2 Japanese teams who, again, didn't fare very well in the brackets, but they were there. They were making a stand. I didn't really catch their games on stream either, sadly. Oh, who else got eliminated? Gelisak's team got eliminated really early on. They didn't seem to be in that good form. Total Recall didn't make it through very far. They beat Gelisak's team, though, which isn't hard. They've obviously been putting some time in. Cygib's been really hyped up because he did so well in the Duel tournament recently, where he, like, beat the Hang Online. Man, alright, so now I guess I'm just going to dig into some of the things I watched. I guess a really big one for me was Team Ascent making, who was it? New name, that was Waz and Chain, right? I'm surprised Ascent made those games so close, right? They were competitive. In a game I expect them to just get trashed in. Ascent, not really a team I'd heard much about, not a team I'd seen much, not a team I'd heard hyped up much. But, I mean, they played really well. Like, they weren't a pushover. And it sounds like I'm kind of talking shit on them, but really that's a compliment. It's an important thing in Quake. Make yourself hard to deal with. Be annoying. It's absolutely a good skill, and it's absolutely a compliment to them. We had Big versus UKSA. That was actually the first game I caught of the day. UKSA, Maestro UKSA, that's Garpy and Dewey, versus Avec and Kilson. If you want to learn about quad setups, watch their series. Man, they did everything, okay? They had every variation of quad setups on DM6, aka Blood Covenant. They had on Corrupted Keep a whole lot of different kind of setups. It's like they would try a setup and then it wouldn't work out, so they would have to adapt and try something else. And both teams were really adaptive like that. I was very, very impressed. They were good games. That was a really intense series. Went to 3 maps. Check that one out for sure. I'll probably do some deeper analysis of that at some point. Maestro CIS versus Play to Improve was good too. Like, I wasn't expecting Liths and Bus Driver X to make it so hard for Maestro CIS. Now I know Silencep has actually been sick in the lead up to this. He missed a day of practice in the Maestro bootcamp before this event, but still, like, he looked like he was playing pretty well. He maybe missed a few shots, maybe isn't feeling his all. I don't know what physical state he's in at the moment, but yeah, like, the start of the Corrupted Keep was really, really good for Play to Improve. But once Maestro CIS got a bit of momentum behind them, they started to, like, snowball a little bit more. At least they caught up very, very quickly. And yeah, Awoken again. Play to improve. Like, they just did some really good stuff. They had some really good fights at the quad. Lith's had some amazing movement once he got like a protection. He was rocket jumping around. I know, I was kind of talking to people on Discord. People were like, oh, Lith's movement was really good, blah, 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 talking about him being in the Reflex Race World Cup and stuff. But yeah, no, like, really well played by those guys. And that was the game that showed me why Play to Improve should have gotten through to the top 8, Man, I've got so many bits of paper here, guys. It's not even funny. Maestro EU versus Orbs. This was a really big one because this was like Quaker Orbs, Yenim and Effortless playing to make it through to the top 8, to get the chance to play in the duel, and the chance to take on a top European team, right? A top-level European team. That's the goal coming into an event like QuakeCon, right? These guys get to practice against North Americans all the time. QuakeCon is the chance to show that you're relevant on the international stage. And here, I think Quaker Orbs did, right? They lost 2-0, but the maps were close. They weren't like 49 to 50 or anything. They weren't like one frag margins, but Quaker Orbs were competitive, Again, that sounds like I'm talking shit about them. Like, yeah, they did well. They were competitive, but they made it hard, right? They did some good stuff. Man. Yeah, there was like a big quad in their first map when Yenim had a big play to like save it. They played Tempest Shrine as their second map, and that had some really interesting dynamics. It looked like Maestro EU was struggling a bit. Again, like some really good power-up setups from Team Quaker Orbs. But in the end, Maestro EU just kind of figured them out, I think. They got ahead. Maestro EU started getting all the quads. Tempest Shrine's a map where every frag can count, and I actually think there were a few too many times in the Tempest Shrine where they threw frags away, which might have had the run-on effect of throwing the entire map away, There were a bunch of other games too. Team Liquid, like I mentioned before, their mechanics were on. They look like they're hot to win. The top 8 bracket is really just beat Team Liquid, okay? This is it. It's gonna come down. I can feel it. It's gonna be a North America versus Europe grand final. I actually want to check something in the brackets here. Hold on. Yeah, okay. All the North American teams ended up on the same side of the bracket, so it's 100% going to be an American versus a European in the grand final. I tell you that with 100% confidence. It's mathematically impossible. Okay, I've got the bit of paper. Man, what else? I feel like I've forgotten so much, but I feel like however I do this video, I'm going to forget a lot of stuff. So I'm just going to cut it there. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to cut in some footage of the games, hopefully, as much as I can manage so that I could still have time to upload this video tonight with my potato internet. I want to get this video up before it becomes irrelevant. So hopefully that's the case. If you're watching this, if I don't get this video up in time, I'm sorry. But be sure to tune in tomorrow. I'm going to try and do the same thing again. I am just going to be watching Quake all weekend, and then the weekend's going to finish, and I'm going to keep watching Quake and do some analysis and all that good shit I did last year that I've been wanting to do at a LAN event ever since. I'm just in the right frame of mind right now for it. So if you've enjoyed this, be sure to like and subscribe. Tune in for more. I currently have a new player guide, which should be going up tonight as well, kind of in honor of free-to-play. So yeah, Quake's good. Quake's cool. QuakeCon's been good so far. I'm looking forward to more. I'm hoping for a kind of different production in how they're doing it tomorrow. I think they're going to bring in the A-casters, they're going to bring in Zoot, they're going to bring in Jahar, they're going to put on a slightly slicker show, I feel, whereas today they had a chance, they opened the door for the community, and I think that's a really a cool thing to do, right? I'm just sad I couldn't be there to be part of it. Next year, guys, I'm gonna frickin' fundraise, if not get flown out by someone, okay? I can feel it. It's gonna happen. But yeah, before I ramble too much, I'm obviously very excited today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch you next time.